be shy. I don't bite. You can definitely come up in the front. I see a lot of younger members at the back. Do you all want to come? Kelly, Valerie, Sam, Zian? I don't bite. I promise I don't bite. All right, welcome everyone. So we're at the 4th day of the Capacity Building Hub. This thematic day we're looking at South-South capacities and cooperation. But also around COP, it's the Youth Day. So that's a very important topic and merge of topics that we're looking at, given how young people are so important in the whole process of how South-South cooperation happens, South-South collaboration happens. And we're going to present a little bit of the Youth4Capacity program. As you can see on the screen, the program was set up last year and kick-started this year by the UNFCCC and the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security of Italy, with the mission of strengthening the capacities of young people while recognizing their crucial roles as capacity builders in achieving climate action. So the mantra that we go with is that young people are not just recipients of capacity building, they're also builders themselves. Over the UNFCCC Regional Climate Weeks this year, we went to 4 regions, so that was a whole world tour that we did, and we have everyone, all of the regions sort of represented here, and we're going to hear more about the activities that happen on the region. But for now, what I want to do is just give you a little bit of an overview of what the program does. So like I said, over this year, we've kind of had our activities on 4 different pillars. The first one is virtual knowledge and skill enhancement. So we actually have this series called Becoming. So it's becoming climate storytellers, becoming climate rights, children's rights defenders. So we've had that, and then we're going to continue doing that next year. So that's on the virtual end. But like I mentioned, we went to the 4 regional climate weeks, and that's where we did a lot of our in-person, hands-on capacity building. This is going to be an extension of that as well. So in-person modality is super important for us. Together with UNDP, just a couple of months ago, we launched the mentorship program. So Youth for Climate and Youth4Capacity together is launching their mentorship program, which is going to focus on peer-to-peer learning and how young people can be change makers in community building and, helping and mobilizing communities. And then finally, it's a youth project. You have to be fun. We have to do a lot of comms and outreach, and we have to mobilize TikTok, Instagram, and every other social media that we have. So we're working very hard on that as well. So how many of you use TikTok over here? Just show of hands. Oh, no one uses. Oh, I see 2. So please do follow us on there. We do a lot of fun content. We know some of these faces have been there. But we also have Instagram on there. So please do follow us on those platforms and engage, given that that's a space that young people can proudly claim and reclaim and all of that. That being said, the strategic focus of the program is on 3 key pillars on community building, like I mentioned, focusing on the regional and sub-regional levels, and then finally collaborations and partnerships. And we've had a lot of them this year, which I will show you a little bit later. But without any further ado, I actually wanted to invite someone really special. So we have the Special Envoy on Climate Change from the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security of Italy, Professor Francesco Carvaro, for some opening remarks. And given that he's also been to a lot of the regional climate weeks this year, so he's been a part of the world tour that we had. So Professor, over to you.
Thanks. So every time is a pleasure to stay here with you. Yes, I missed one because it was too close to the COP, and I have also duty to meet my ministers to explain what is a COP sometimes, because it is not easy. The role of youth. Today is the Youth Day. So from my point of view, the youth role is essential. Why? First of all, because we put in evidence with the Youth for Climate the capabilities that you have. You have a lot of capabilities to make very good projects to fight against climate change in energy field, in education, for example. It is crucial to invest in the education and to give the good perspective of climate change. Because I know that I have 2 daughters, so I know very well that you have a lot of tools to find your answer. TikTok, YouTube, and a lot of. But sometimes it's crucial that you have the capability if the answer is correct or not. Because you know that in the website it's possible to find to find everything. You can find also a class to pilot an airplane, for example. Then it's up to you if you want to enter in a plane with the guy that learned from YouTube. For this reason, it is extremely important to invest in the education, in the program that I follow during the 3 Climate Week where I stayed. I was surprised by the number of younger people that were in Riyadh, I think. Yes, in Riyadh. A big room full of a lot of younger people. So I know that you are strongly involved in this discussion. Obviously, it's your future, for sure. Then, another thing, please maintain your capability to speak with everyone. Climate change is an issue without barriers. There is no borders. Everyone are in the same situation. Even if we have a lot of differences for a lot of other reasons, climate change is the possibility to unify everyone because we are in the same house, in the same home. And this is crucial because, as I told a lot of time, I am positive under this aspect because I am an engineer and I know that we have all the capabilities and all the technologies to solve the problem of climate change. We have not much time, but we are in time. But it is necessary to discuss really around the table, to put on the ground the technologies that a lot of scientists, a lot of engineers created for this solution, to find this solution. So thank you very much. It's every time a big pleasure for me.
Thank you so much. Right, so as I was saying, we did a world tour and we kind of anchored it on 3 pillars. So we went to the 4 regional climate weeks, and for the Youth4Capacity activities this year, we had 3 main topics, cross-cutting topics that we explored across the climate weeks. The first one was on youth participation and skills development for a just transition. The second one on meaningful engagement of youth in policy-making processes. And then the final one on climate communications and community-led climate action. We do have some of the people that have taken part in the various activities that we had across the 4 regions. But we also have some other voices. Some of them haven't been able to make it to COP, and we wanted to give them a chance. So we have a video that's queued, some messages from youth across the region. So I'll just cue the video now.
So for me, I think youth are definitely the key parts of a just transition. I think if we look at, the next 10, 20 years, it will be youth who will be impacted by climate change, and we need to be part of this transition.
Advocacy and engagement for the youth, creating a meaningful engagement in the policy-making process is critically important to ensure that the voices of youth are heard and what we are trying to push is on the table.
And we have the ideas, we have the skills, we have the energies to implement, to find solutions for these challenges.
Los jóvenes nos caracterizamos por la innovación, por tener conocimiento en tecnología, en ciencia de datos, en tener estas nuevas ideas que tal vez no se han pensado, ideas que van a hacer que estas soluciones sean basadas en la ciencia y se puedan cumplir tanto de manera justa como en el tiempo que tenemos.
There's been a lot of talk about youth inclusion in the UNFCCC process, but I think the next step after that should be capacity building.
We cannot solve tomorrow's challenges with yesterday's solutions. And at the same time, we cannot move to the future with the skills of the past. So it's very important to make sure that we are incorporating capacity building in these conferences.
Es importantísimo tener todos estos marcos también de entrenamiento, de construcción de capacidades y actualización, ¿verdad? Lo que es ciencia climática, cambio climático se escribe cada día.
It's a diverse sector which requires skills ranging from entrepreneurship skills, technical skills, soft skills, communication skills, research skills.
I've seen that young people are more
forthcoming when it's another young person who's capacitated, who's coming to train them on policy building.
I believe youth are the main driver for the change, and programs such Youth4Capacity is meaningful to build the capacity of the youth and to create a bridging when it comes to the skills and development of youth.
It's only so far you can go as an individual, but as part of a network, as part of a coalition with other young people, it's easier to enhance and influence policy and best express our youth demands.
Como muchas veces le dicen a los jóvenes, ustedes vienen a aprender, aprendan mucho, escuchen. Los jóvenes también ya tienen muchas herramientas y mucho conocimiento que el gobierno puede aprender, que el sector privado puede aprender de los jóvenes igualmente.
We are trying to transform the language of the youth to a UN language when the negotiators can understand the language of the youth. We are trying to align the same language to be aligned together and we make an actual outcomes.
So we've understood that there's a huge importance in partnering, whether it's with the private sector, whether it's with different NGOs, or whether it's with the actual governments and public sector in the airport, for us to be heard when we deliver these policy recommendations paper. So this is what we worked on. Our outreach, our partnerships team worked very hard on making sure that these outcomes are then communicated with the right partners who will channel them to the right decision makers.
شمال أفريقيا والشرق الأوسط يدعموا الشباب العربي لأن وجودهم كان جدا ضعيف في المؤتمرات. الشباب العربي عنده قدرات هائلة وعددهم كبيرة جدا وبيقدروا يصنعوا التغيير على أرض الواقع في بلدانهم، فبس محتاجين دعم يمكنهم إنه يروحوا على المؤتمرات ويفهموا الحاصل ويكونوا برضو يشاركوا في المفاوضات مع بلدانهم.
I think the power of influence and the power of actively informing decision making at the very, very local level up to national level, it has so much potential in making young people feel like their voices are being heard and they are being trusted as equal stakeholders in delivering action.
Yes, in each country have different climate issues, but when we are in a region, we have mutual issues. We're trying our best to unify everything we have, all the issues, so we can make unified demands as well. So we are not separate, but we work as a collective.
We really share resources. For example, I learned from someone in Indonesia how they're running their project, which also helped address some of the problems we were having in Singapore. So I do find that it's been a great way to accelerate the pace of learning and make lesser mistakes in the things that we're doing so that we can really collaborate more for, I think, a more effective solution at scale.
Most of these community-led initiatives are taking center stage globally, regionally, and actually more important, locally.
So I think these are initiatives that are very local, but once young people know that they have influence in decision making at the very sort of municipal and local government level, it really encourages them. And these are ways that we keep motivating young people to keep working on these projects.
Be experimental with your research, be outward with regards to your engagement, and continue to build connections both in and outside your communities.
Do we realize that these children who are actually doing these very simple recycling initiatives are the ones who are going to be leading the sustainability agenda for the region when they grow up?
It can be quite overwhelming to be in climate diplomacy spaces, but it is very important to hold your ground, to be with people who support you, and there is a lot of love and belongingness between youth, which is extremely wonderful to see.
So those were some messages from people from the different regions. And like Muskan said towards the end, be with people, be around people that support you, and Youth4Capacity as a program wants to do exactly that and co-develop with you, not just support you. So I'm not going to speak very much more now, and I'm going to hand it over to the young people that we co-develop the activities and programs in each of the regions with. So first, we're going to go to Africa Climate Week. So this is going to be a mini world tour of quick highlights and outcomes from the sessions that we had. So I'd like to invite Karishma from Yango to sort of give us a quick overview of what went down in Africa Climate Week. This was the first one. So give it up for Karishma, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Riti. Hi, everyone. And I'm very excited to share the learnings from Africa Climate Week today, but also to learn about what happened in other climate weeks. I'm very happy to see the momentum being built, and also pleased to share that what we did at Africa Climate Week, some of my colleagues, they reached out to us to know how we have curated the program and what we have done to make it more impactful. So we did have some peer learning that happened so that other climate weeks could also align to what we are doing. So the first thing that we did was also in terms of, so I'll go also, besides these events that you're seeing, I'll also go into a needs analysis that we did, a report that we put out, and this talked about what the African youth wants and their key demands on regional level. So this was very important to shape the policy processes and decisions on regional level. And besides that, the second main element that I want to put forward is to make a very action-oriented events. So you can see that how we did our sessions, we sometimes brought funders and young entrepreneurs in the room, talking about what they're doing, but also where are the gaps, or funders presenting some solutions concretely that if you're sitting in the audience, you know that there is one opportunity for funding for your initiative, or even like a grant, and also how you can apply for funding. So that said, we created a lot of space where the youth would learn something concrete and have key takeaways from these sessions. And we also try to make it fun, as you can see in the youth networking one, we gamify the systems, and then it was a good exchange. If you see, the whole day was very packed of events. So now, when it comes to the African region, we do have some constraints. We do have like diversity in terms of the region itself. So I would make a call that, we have sessions specifically in terms of translation, French versus English. So we take those into considerations, and also to see we need to scale the conversation for joining the advocacy and lobbying, the youth advocacy. Most of the youth, they would be in the room, but then they would come to meet me at the end of the sessions because they've seen me hold the mic. So they would say, how do I get started, on this advocacy? I think that we need more capacity on this level, so that we can get everyone on board, because we can only do that much, and we are very few of us. There's a lot of potential out there, especially in Africa. So I would make a call that, whenever we are curating the program, we do it in a manner that we are also bringing everyone on board. And we try to do it actually by having focus group discussions, knowing how different youth are thinking. So I won't be too long. Really, is my time up? Yes, so happy to hear from other climate weeks. Thank you. And I'm from Mauritius.
Thanks, Karishma. So that was a very quick rundown on what happened at Africa. It was a day packed with sessions. I was there as well. I'm there on that picture. I wasn't there on the video, so I just had to point out I'm there on this picture. Cool. So we're going to go to MENA Climate Week, a climate week that I wasn't a part of, but my colleague Eva, who some of you already know from MENA and Asia Pacific, who helps out and with the ACE colleagues that we have. I think we have Tracy in the room, or she was in the room. Anyway, so we will go to MENA Climate Week now. So Watan, over to you. Please, could you provide us some key outcomes from the MENA Climate Week?
Hello, everyone. My name is Watan Mohammed. From Sudan, but I live in Sultanate of Oman, 2 MENA countries. We had the MENA Climate Week in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the heart of the MENA region. And as you know, the MENA region across 2 continents, Africa and the Middle East. And it's one of the regions that has populated youth, yet least represented youth at these spaces of the UNFCCC. The MENA Climate Week was an opportunity for the MENA youth to explore, network with each other, as they don't get the chance to do these things. We had 4 sessions as well: the policy making, leadership, the youth leadership in the policy making. We had the empowering communities in the Arab states, and we also had the just transition and gamification session. So these 4 sessions were extremely interactive. The MENA youth were get the chance actually to build their capacities which were lacking in the previous COPs. So in next few phases of the session, we will discuss in each table the outcomes of each session, commonalities, differences, and so on. So I'm looking forward for that.
Thank you so much, Vatan. Can we have a round of applause for Vatan, please? Right. Oh, I forgot my clicker. So then we go to the Latin America and the Caribbean Climate Week. Kelly, are you around? Let's go, Kerry. Your key outcomes, learnings.
Well, thank you so much for that. Well, the Latin American Climate Week this year have been with different type of objectives. First of all, we have been working during the Youth Day, but also we have the efforts to have a high-level opening with so many authorities that they believe in youth activism. They believe in how can we include the youth. So in that way, we have also other 3 parts that were focuses on green jobs, on youth engagement, and climate policies. So in that way, we collaborate with different organizations around our region, but also what is important is how can we communicate all of these results when we return to our countries, because the UNFCCC week just happens in 1 week, but then we have to know the reflections of that and to communicate at country level, and also to be part of the COP28 is an opportunity to have all the reflections that we have been doing, but also how LAC region can be more powerful, can be more inclusive, to have an intergenerational justice. So at the end, the UNFCCC we have more than 36 countries, I think so, in this opportunity, and many people achieve to be there, but also some people participate in virtual mode. So that's a good point to be very inclusive, but also, as I mentioned before, we have to communicate and to partnership with youth, because we are agents of change, and that's the key of make a good climate activism. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Now, last but not the least, we have the Asia Pacific Climate Week. So, do we have both Sam or Muskan, or just Muskan? Muskan from Care About Climate, one of our partner youth organizations, have had a successful run with them. But yeah, Muskan here will walk us through all the fun that was had at Asia Pacific Climate Week and all the outcomes and the important work that was done. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Riddhi. And hi, everyone. So I was a part of a few of the events that were organized at Asia Pacific Climate Week. Very grateful for the opportunity, because it, of course, brought a lot of us from the Asia Pacific circle together. And so the policy session in particular, I was not there to coordinate it, but it did produce 3 recommendations each group. We tried to brainstorm different ideas and in order to build capacity of young people and make them understand how policies can be broken down and recommendations can be given. So that event was quite a huge success in itself. And the one that I was able to coordinate, which I and Sam together did, was a human library workshop. And it was one of the very creative ways of bringing together communities. So what we did was every young person who was there, we selected 6 young people. I think we had 5 in the end. And every young person was a book in itself and a story, not just a storyteller, but they themselves were the story. So there were other people at a round table sitting with them, and everyone else could ask them questions about their own story. So it was a wonderful way to bring people together to share stories. And after this human library workshop session, we also did a climate storytelling workshop, which entailed bringing everyone's each story parts together. And it was very creative because people were using really creative ways of drawing. There was one group which had a couple going through different aspects of climate crisis and basically showing a story of how a couple would face a climate crisis in the future. And then there were other ways of including different parts of climate stories of how people have struggled in their own hometowns and bringing them together, finding common threads and calling it hope. So it was extremely beautiful to see, and I'm a huge advocate of climate storytelling, so that was a wonderful event to have in itself, and I was really grateful to be a part of it and really grateful for everyone who made it possible. So yeah, it was really a great opportunity, and I hope to look forward to the other climate weeks that happen next. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Khan. And I know I just spoke about one organization, but these are all the people that we have mobilized over the first year. That's a massive list, and that also means we want to grow it more. And we want to see more youth-led, youth-focused organizations, more co-development, more mobilization and networking between youth networks, and then also breaking out of the youth box as well, because it doesn't help us to just talk to each other. We want to talk to other organizations as well. So just a quick scan of maybe some of your organizations are on there as well. But if you're interested, Eva and I are here after the session to talk more and see how we can collaborate as we go into the second year of Youth4Capacity. That being said, now we're going to go into a little bit of a breakout group situation where you heard some messages. I know Muskan touched upon the climate communications bit, Kelly touched upon the policy bit, and so did Karishma. So these were the 3 pillars that we had across all the climate weeks. And of course, there are differences, contextual differences, regional differences of what needs are of young people in the different regions. But there are also commonalities. There are certain needs that are similar across the world. So we're going to discuss all of that. Eva here has already put in chart papers on the 3 tables behind, where each table is one topic. We also encourage that like all different regions mix and merge together, just so that we're able to exchange information and outcomes that have come through. But over the next about 15-20 minutes, we're going to just discuss all of this. So I'm going to pass it over to all of you to take a seat at one of the tables and then already start discussing, and we'll come back in a bit. check. So we're close to wrapping up our discussion. So you have about 2-3 minutes. I know you're really into the conversations. I can see that happening. But let's try 2-3 minutes because we have the next session after this as well. Check, check, check. All right, so we will start wrapping up the discussions. Oh, you want 3 more minutes? Okay, there is a request that's been made, so 3 more minutes. It's 31, 34 is when I'm going to close. Please. Okay. All right, so we are almost at the end of this session, and I see that the conversations are very immersed, and everyone's like, no, we want 3 more, 4 more, 5 more minutes, and we hope to keep this going. But given that we're all here, and some of us, we were on our tables, we didn't get a chance to listen to all the tables. Very quickly, I'll go with this table because they asked me for more time. One key outcome from all of your discussions. I know it's difficult to boil it down to one thing, but just one message from this table. Do you want to go? Perfect.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay. So for the pillar of just transition, we've discussed so many things, which is we are from so many regions. So we were thinking, hi? They didn't even listen.
Just a minute. Attention, please.
Okay. Okay, so we thought that justice transition start with education. So I was telling them I was in a talk with the Minister for Education of Romania, and what he proposed is a perfect plan for a real justice transition in whichever country. So it starts with education, and then a strategic plan between all the governmental entities inside any country, and then we've discussed that youth are having a big role in such kind of field, which is just transition. So it's their future. So they need to be empowered by the government, by the international organizations to have the skills, to have the power to change and to be involved in that kind of transition. We've also discussed an eco-advocacy that helps youth and the government know what they need to do. And we've discussed to include youth in policy making, which is an important point, because youth know what they want, because it's their future. So making a platform for them to speak up, to learn, to have a capacity, and like to provide them with the tools, it's the perfect plan for just transition. It takes so much work because you need to take into consideration every regional conditions into consideration, because the MENA region needs it different from the Latin America region needs. So it's really complicated, but it could be work. So there is a hope. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I know she just mentioned youth involvement in policy making, so I'm just going to jump to this table, given that that's what you all were discussing. So one of you, very quick messages.
Well, in our table, we were talking about youth in policy making. So we have this discussion different challenges and opportunity. Some of them are lack of knowledge, conception of the tokenism, youth washing, authorities, or lack of climate defenders because of the interest of their batches, political situation that happens around the climate weeks, funding, and others. So in that way, we collaborating our ideas of how can we achieve a better climate week the next year. So in that way, some of them is to strengthen the children and youth stock takes consultation before climate week happens, but also talking about more collaboration with UN agencies, with youth organizations, vulnerable communities, and others to prioritize also consultation with them, because we know that not many people are having the fundings to go there. So we have to prioritize virtual consultations before, and also to be part of the negotiation rooms, like to be understand what is the place that they are doing right now, what is the policies that they are talking, because so many people are in different kind of levels of knowledge. Some of them are like a basic level, but some of them are in the most advanced. So as we have to achieve our intergenerational justice, so we have to collaborate with our sharing our knowledge in that way. The last part is to have more partners, definitely, because if we have more partners, we have more resources. If we have more resources, we have a more climate activism and to achieve a better climate week at the end. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. And last but not the least, we have the community-based climate action and climate communications table. Who'd like to sort of, Muskan, I'm going to pass it over to you. Or Sam, do you, sorry, I thought it was Sam. Yeah. Do you want to, yeah.
So like our topic is community-based climate action and climate communications, but I feel like we didn't really stick very rigidly to the topic. So, but we do share about how young people can take part in the climate actions and climate communications. So we focus a bit more on challenges, but happily we also got some good practice and some good cases that we can hope for. I won't say learn about, because it's all about the government, but we can hope for. So we share that like for Asia Pacific. Once a friend shared that his way to do climate communication is to create climate journeys, and that can engage more people, and it has to be like a medium term, like 6-month journey, so people can really get to know about the topic. And for some challenges like faced by my place, I'm from Hong Kong, or from Latin Americans friends. So for Hong Kong, we don't have a seat in the international negotiation table. So it's a bit hard for youth to really take part in very formal actions, but we try to do it on community level and on observer badges. And for Latin America, and it's a totally different challenges. It's back to very basic needs or basic access to communication, because even internet is not available for all. So even if they have lots of materials or information out there on the internet nowadays, it can't be reached by young people or the community. So what can be done is to offer more maybe fundings or technical support to youth from these areas. But we do have a good news from Singapore. Like the government has taken lead to involve more youth in the national delegation, and they even got training for the youth team from the head delegation. So I think this is also a very good example that we can push our government to do more. So not only just take the youth to COP or to international events, so because then we can't follow much, and 2 weeks passed so fast, and then we were like, oh, what's happened? Only photo takings with the officials. But what they can do is they do share about, or they educate us more about what's gonna happen beforehand, so we can really make meaningful intervention or meaningful connections and discussions at the venue, and don't waste all the carbon footprint we spent flying to the venue. Yeah, so that's a bit from our group.
Thank you so much. Well, once again, I'd like to thank everyone that joined in and all of the amazing discussions that went on. One final ask I have of all of you. There are post-its on each table. So we're doing this thing where we're defining what capacity building means to all of us individually. And I would like you to write one word, the first word that comes to your mind when you think of capacity building. It could be 2 words as well. I know it kind of is difficult sometimes. So 1 or 2 words. The first thing that comes to your mind when you think of capacity building, please write that down and paste it on that board right there. But once again, thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and please keep interacting with the Youth4Capacity program. And we're going off to the next session now.